I'm Dr. Shawn Tassone. Welcome to Confessions of a Male Gynecologist, a podcast dedicated to women's health and hormones, and pretty much everything else you were never listened to when you went to the doctor's office. I'm board certified in OBGYN and integrative medicine, and I have a PhD in mind-body medicine. I guess you could say I'm a little bit outside of the box. In this podcast, I'm going to get you the answers you probably asked 5 other doctors and were kind of blown off. I want you to know that I'm not only here to talk, I'm here to listen as well. And now, let's get to those confessions. Hey, y'all, welcome back to another episode of Confessions of a Male Gynecologist. I almost said female gynecologist. Sometimes I wish I was a female gynecologist because I get criticized all the time online that I am a man, but I can't change that. But I do have a woman on today named Arielle Loupos, who has a company called Flower Girl. And she reached out to me because she wanted to talk about a lot of products that are on the market right now. And she started her own company with products that are actually good for you and not harmful for you. And I get asked all the time about pads and tampons and things that women are kind of using in their genital regions. And as you are aware, you know, the vaginal mucosa being extremely absorptive will absorb bad chemicals and things as well. And tampons and pads are obviously something you use a lot. So thank you, first of all, for coming on. It's great to have you. Thanks for reaching out to me so that we can bring this message to the ladies that listen. Why don't we start by you kind of giving a little bit of your bio so people know who you are, and then kind of what it is that made you go in this direction, because starting a business is not an easy endeavor and causes a lot of stress and gnashing of teeth. So how did you get to where you are today?
So my background is in e-commerce and marketing. So I naively went into product development, thinking like I can throw a website together and get some email and social marketing going. And I always knew I wanted to do something of my own. And I definitely wanted to solve a problem. And as a woman, I thought long and hard, like what area could I try to really disrupt? So as somebody who hated wearing pads and tampons, I found them all extremely uncomfortable. I started wearing period underwear from other brands and kind of had the same issues, where I was like, oh, I love this option. However, I still feel a bit uncomfortable. So taking advantage of the fact that I live in Los Angeles, I started to drive around to manufacturers. I started learning about textiles and different fabric and how it affects our body and skin. And, like you just mentioned, learning that our vaginal wall is 10 times more absorbent than our skin. I was like, let me try to make some period underwear. And after 2 years of R&D and really immersing myself and learning about like the body safe materials, I feel like I launched one of the best menstrual products on the market for women. And that is Flower Girl.
So how long has Flower Girl been in existence?
Yeah, Flower Girl was launched the end of 2024. I totally bootstrapped the business. So to be honest, I'm just coming off of like really full-time consulting still for other brands. And then so I had Flower Girl live, and I'm going hard with organic marketing now, and really just trying to share the product. There's still a lot of education I'm finding. A lot of women still don't know what period underwear is. I get asked that a lot. They don't know it's an option. And then I'm also really trying to share a lot of the education that I'm learning around how toxic a lot of disposable menstrual products can be as well. And I feel like a lot of that information is just starting to come to light.
So I'm a gynecologist. I have a daughter and I have 3 soon-to-be stepdaughters. And I have a funny story. When my daughter was 14, I think, she screamed from the bathroom that she needed a tampon and she didn't have any. Mm-hmm. So I ran to Walgreens and I walked in, and there is literally a wall of tampons and pads. There's like 100 of them. And so I'm standing there, and this old lady walked up to me, and she's like, she put her hand on my shoulder and she said, "Do you need some help?" And I said, "No, I got this." So I stood there for a few minutes. I picked out some tampons and I brought them back home. She's still in the bathroom. I handed them through the door and I walked back out to the kitchen. Probably 30 seconds. I hear, Dad, what the heck did you buy me? And I walk back there and I'm like, I bought you tampons. She goes, you bought super heavy days and it's like a mattress. I can't even get this in my vagina. So I had to run back to
Yeah.
the store and the lady goes, "You want my help? You want my help now?" And I was like, "Yeah, I guess." I'm like, "I'm a freaking gynecologist. I can't even figure this out."
Yeah.
So first of all, why don't you tell us currently with the commercially available products on the market, what are some of the things that are in those that women shouldn't be putting in their bodies?
Yeah. So I find it intriguing that I learned that the first study on tampons was done just last year in 2024. And they tested for heavy metals. And they tested, I believe, about 30 samples of organic and non organic brands. And they found lead in all samples tested,
Wow.
as well as arsenic, some other toxic chemicals. And that has then prompted the FDA to really do like a deep dive into one, if tampons having these chemicals in them can get absorbed by the body if women are wearing them. So that is still an ongoing study by the FDA right now because of the findings. And, it makes a lot of sense. Then the UK just this year in 2025 also did a study on some tampons and they found glyphosate in all of the samples tested. And, tampons are very often, they're made with cotton and they're bleached and
Hmm.
they're dyed. And unfortunately, there's fragrances put in them a lot of the times. And yeah, because it's cotton, they're sprayed with these horrible pesticides. There's not a lot of regulation I've learned around what these manufacturers have to disclose about where the tampons come from, how they're made, and then what's in them. And then, unfortunately, because women's bodies are so under researched and underfunded, and our menstrual products, there's just been no research done on then what wearing these tampons and pads and the most absorbent part of our body, how that affects our health. So when I learned all of this, it felt even more like this is the product that women need. I just believe energetically, we should allow our flow to exit our body. I believe it's the best thing for us. So then finding this out on top of it, it really made me want to find super safe, top quality materials for the product.
So your company makes not just pads, but you also make period panties, right?
Exactly. Yep.
And would it be, where do you, so let's take us through the process of making a healthy pad. Like what goes into that? What doesn't go into that?
Yeah. So I was really diligent about the factory mill that I purchased the fabric from because I learned in the world of textiles, you can buy a lot of different fibers, right? And that's when I really learned about the difference between synthetic fibers and natural fibers.
Mm.
So I made probably over 100 different iterations of the pad itself as I kept learning about different materials through this process. And I found a mill here in America actually that is tested PFAS free. It's free of lead, phthalates, all of the horrible chemicals that you find. So um, from there, really just constructed with my manufacturer the pad and the panties. And I like I shared earlier, I do produce the panties here in LA in small batches, and yeah, it's used it's feels good on your body, and how period underwear works, just to give if anybody's not aware.
I was going to ask
There's
that
a
for people
top
that
there's
don't know.
Yeah, so basically it's underwear you can free bleed into. So the gusset, which is the crotch area of the underwear, is composed of three layers.
Would you
It
call it
has
the
a top
gosset?
layer that's designed a gusset, and I had
Gusset.
no idea what a
Yeah, I was
gusset
like, I
was
never
until
heard
I
that.
started designing. Yeah, so the gusset is the crotch
Okay.
area of the underwear. So my underwear also, it's thin where you want it to be, unlike a lot of other period underwears, and then it's not even thick in the crotch area, but I found like the thinnest materials I could because comfort was so important to me. Um, There's a top layer that sits closest to your skin that's designed to keep you cool and dry so you don't feel like you're sitting in a wet pad or diaper. There's a middle absorbent layer, and then there's a bottom waterproof layer, and that's what keeps your flow from exiting the underwear.
Forgive my ignorance on this issue, but for women that have different types of days, heavy, light, is there a different product? And then second, how many pairs do you buy when you're starting?
Yeah, great question. So I always recommend, to get through an entire cycle with the underwear or solely with panties, I would recommend starting with at least 7 to 15 pairs, right? Because you're going to want to be changing them out throughout the perhaps like 1 to 2 times in the day and then for overnight. So, and of course, it just depended on the duration of your flow as well. And so I have found, because all of our flows are so different, I talked to a lot of women, unfortunately, who share that they have extremely heavy flows, which I've learned is not necessarily normal. But our society has like normalized, really heavy bleeding for longer periods of time. Um, Also, and I would actually love your opinion on this. I've learned that there's like a difference when you use natural versus synthetic products. Do you feel like that has any correlation between how heavy of a period you're experiencing?
I don't think there's any like hard data on it. I can tell you that I think that women there are going to be people that are sensitive to different things. So, unfortunately, I would tell you there's probably a lot of doctors that would say it probably doesn't matter, probably most, but I always listen to what she's telling me. So, I think that if there is an inflammation, we know the lining of the uterus is super sensitive to inflammatory things like we saw with the COVID vaccines. Not that I'm getting on vaccine bandwagons, but we know that women that got the vaccine had menstrual irregularities because of the immune system response. And so if you have irritants in that area and you have an increased inflammatory response or immuno response, that could certainly affect the lining. Yeah.
Yeah. I asked because I've talked to a lot of women at this point, and typically the ones who share that they're very heavy are consistent tampon users. And in my opinion, they're kind of just like plugging up the problem with these products that are now known to have different toxins in them. To me, that feels like the body kind of like crying out to
Mhm.
stop using those. Um, and I've learned, yeah, natural fibers just are better typically for your body versus using something synthetic. And I've found from my own experience, and I got a lot of feedback from women that when they switch to free bleeding, their flows lighten up and are shorter in duration. So, yeah, I know there's not specific studies behind this, but from what I've heard and the women that I talked to, it's alleviated a lot of PMS symptoms.
And by the looks of it, you have three different kinds. You have a thong, you have a brief, you have a boxer. So you're kind of hitting all the bases of
Yeah.
what women want to wear. And they actually look to me, I mean, not that I'm an expert on underwear, but they look pretty stylish. Like they don't look like
Thank you.
they don't look like some of the other things I've seen on the market because I get hit up with these all the time. And it's funny because people want to send me samples, not that I would wear them, but, I think that might be a good Instagram post though. Um,
Yeah, I bet you do well.
you'd have to make them in a size. I'm probably a size 12, but you'd have to. But I mean, they're very stylish. They come in different colors. I mean, you can see what is. It says that they're tensile. What is tensile as a fabric?
Yeah, thank you. And I tried to do like the thong, the brief, the boxer
Yeah.
to cover all the girlies. And so Tencel is a fabric that's derived from trees and an extremely sustainable process to create the fiber. And, when I first started this, I tried cotton, I tried Supima cotton. And while that's a great option, once I learned about Tencel and when you feel it, it is so soft. It's like a very silky, luxurious feel, and it gets softer in time, even. So, yeah, it's derived from trees. It's really incredible.
So, question I have is, I was noticing. By the way, you have a flower cutout one that's really cool looking. Actually, you could wear that
Thank
at the
you. Yeah.
pool. It looks like a swimsuit.
You can, yeah, and I
Yeah,
have.
and you'd get a little tan where the flowers cut out. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Do the panties have the pad built in, or is it a reusable insert that you put in?
Yeah. So I have both actually. I have two different brief styles, and then the brief with the flower, that one you can insert and remove pads. So that was like the first product I went to market with. It was this whole idea underwear you can wear on or off your period. And the reusable pads that you see on the website, they fit seamlessly into those briefs. They have a pad holder. They're great. And then the 10 cell styles, those have a built-in gusset. So a built-in crotch,
Right.
absorbent
Okay.
crotch area.
And so they're reusable. You just wash them.
Yeah, it's so great. So how I advise women when they're like, how do I wash these? I'll just like wear them into the shower with me. I let them rinse and run clear. And then afterwards, you can throw them in the laundry with everything else.
So, do you find that these type of products? Because I can tell you, I see women all the time, and a lot of women aren't that comfortable with that area of their body for whatever reason. And
Yeah,
then you throw in blood on top of that, and you have somebody
yeah,
that is wearing a pad that they have to put in the wash machine, or like you said, I think it's a cool idea to do it in the shower and let it just run dry. But you have to have a person who is comfortable with their physiology.
yeah.
Otherwise, they're going to think it's disgusting. And I say that because my fiance's two younger daughters are 16 and 13, and I think they're using tampons, and she wants them to go away from the tampons because of what you're saying. She doesn't like the idea of them putting that in their body. And but I'm
Yeah.
wondering what type of a woman, or do you see women of all kind of factors, like some women that may be grossed out by this, or some, they're what kind of women are using these now? Is it a pretty, has it just taken off, or are you trying to get some traction still? Where are you at?
No, I'm definitely trying to get some traction still. And it's been really interesting because as somebody who's like a little more, I live in Los Angeles, I feel like the cities are a little more progressive and women are a
Mhm.
little more sustainable focused and on best quality options for their body. However, I get a lot of pushback to your point. Like it's still such a new idea, I feel like. And um, women aren't as comfortable with their bodies as I expected. And that's been something I've been trying to navigate. And the goal with this brand too is to really help women get back in tune with their bodies and comfortable with their bodies because I've learned through this journey that our period can really be looked at as a report card from our body. And so to know your flow, to understand
Mhm.
the color and how much, you're bleeding is all different signs from our body that we can learn a lot from. So just trying to share, the product and the goals and why I think it's the best option has been a major effort at this point to really convert women.
So the other thing is you have varying sizes, extra small to extra large, and it looks like you base the sizing on the waist measurement, not the hip measurement.
Yeah, yeah.
And it goes from a 22-inch waist up to a 27-inch waist. So you pretty much cover most people. Um, do
That
you?
was the goal. Yeah.
When did this launch? When did you launch Flower Girl?
So I launched the end of November in 2024. So almost coming up on a year of it being alive in the world.
What is something that you wish women knew about these kind of products? Like you said, I live in a crunchy area. You live in a crunchy area, so women are more likely to look at this. But let's say you have someone in Leota, Kansas, who might be kind of interested in this or is listening to this. How do they even get started?
Yeah, I would advise, start with one pair, start to get comfortable with it, wear it. Um, Once you start to experience it and know that it's very leak proof, it's very secure as an option. My hope is that your body starts to alleviate perhaps any of the symptoms of PMS you might be experiencing, whether that's cramping, bloating, irregular periods, just allowing your body to be and allowing ourselves to be in tune with our bodies, something that I feel like our very noisy society nowadays really distracts us from being intuitive. It's such a game changer. And yeah, I would advise women to try a pair. And I have no doubt they'll love it.
One of the things that I heard my fiance's daughter say was that she didn't want to wear a pad because they wear the short shorts, the booty shorts as I call them, and everybody wants to be fashionable, and it seems like pads or padding has this um, history of being diaperish and bulky.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you're saying you've gotten away from that with your panties.
Yeah. What the absorbent layer of the underwear that I have found is so incredibly thin that my underwear, like I wear it pre and post days that I'm even bleeding, just for the protection of like just in case, because it's so thin and it feels like regular underwear. And that was the goal with the brand, was to try to create a solution underwear that felt like it was just a normal day, because again, for so long, I feel like our society has, deemed it like your hell week, or PMSing and all, like making it a bad thing. And part of my narrative is to try to change that into just being a regular part of life that women should embrace and it should honor. Our cycles are what give birth or allow new human life to form. So just bringing it back to being something sacred is a
Okay,
goal
so
for
you're
me.
you're a progressive person, so I'm going to ask you a personal
Def-
question. I did a video
yeah.
a couple of weeks ago on a woman who was sitting in a park, and she was wearing a dress and she was free bleeding into the grass. Uh, I don't. I mean, at a at a
I think
at a
I've seen
park,
that video.
and
Yeah.
I'm like, I get it, I understand. I mean, it's natural, and I'm totally. But I mean, maybe in your backyard. But have you
Yeah.
ever just been a free bleeder?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, before I had this underwear, because I hated disposables so much, and because so much of my period underwear was so big and bulky, like I would put it
Mm.
on and my ass would grow like 2 inches.
Yeah.
I was just like, this is not
Well, we do have those pants now. They have the
comfortable.
built-in butt, so that or the underwear, so we don't need that. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. I'm like, you could just get period underwear. But I would agree with that. Look, like I think anything in public, it's like we can't walk around naked, and but like certain things I think are definitely more appropriate to do at home. But I am a huge advocate for free bleeding, and there were times where during the week I would have black bike shorts and my black pair of underwear that I would just go to because I wanted to be able to just like free bleed whatever. It wasn't like a super heavy day into the underwear, or I'm sorry, into like my pants and just like
Yeah.
regular underwear because I hated disposables so much.
So I'm curious, do you notice, like, when you would do that, did you ever have issues with like irritation or, yeast infections or bladder infections or anything like that?
I didn't. No, I didn't experience anything like that.
Yeah. And how do you feel like you mentioned, I think one of the other things the girls were talking about was they felt like those bulkier pads would make them more sweaty, and, that they'd be picking
Mhm.
kind of down there all the time to pick the pad
Yeah.
moves and all that stuff. But you don't see that with your underwear.
No, no. Again, this underwear, it's so thin and comfortable, and how it's just designed in the underwear. It moves with you, has all been
It looks like
incredible.
regular underwear to me. I don't even see. I've zoomed in on a
Yeah.
couple of photos. I can't even see where the pad is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so thin. It's great.
And you got great reviews on your products on your website. Your price point isn't the cheapest, obviously, but these sound like they last for
Yeah.
300 washes. So, I mean, that's
Yep.
years, really. If you buy
It's
like
a
five or
price
six pair.
savings for Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to share with women too. While it does look like an investment up front, down the road, you're saving money.
Yeah, well, we just went to Costco and bought like some mega pack of pads that was like $35. So, I mean, I think, like you said, if you do that
Yeah.
month after month after month, because in our house there's three women that are having a cycle, adds
Right.
up,
Right.
and you could just do
Totally.
this one investment at the beginning and really end up saving
Yep.
yourself a lot of money. Plus, I think I don't know, I like them. They're pretty stylish looking. I'm really drawn to the one
Thank
with
you.
the flower cutout. I just love that one. It's really
Yeah. That
stylish.
was the goal.
You should do more of those,
Thank you.
like
I
sun and
appreciate that.
moon and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
What are
Yeah. Thank you. You
what are
can
your biggest sellers? Like, I also noticed you have tank tops too, and you got bundles. What is it like?
yeah.
What are your top three products? Like, what are women buying?
Yeah, so the bundles are doing great, which is so I'm happy to see, women are buying, like trying a 3-pack at first. My best seller is the thong. So the Tensile model thong, and then the briefs with the pad that you can insert in and out, which is the flower cutout one. Those two are my best sellers. And it's been interesting. I got so much feedback from women who bought the thong that they wanted a brief or like a boxer style, because when you don't a lot of women don't like to sleep in thongs. It's like a bit uncomfortable, like they're fine during the
Mhm.
day. So I iterated on a style that was working really well. um and then, yeah, they like the flower cutout for the style and underwear you can wear on and off your period. And then I would say the tensile styles, so the styles with the built-in gusset are definitely selling more. So I think what my hypothesis is that a lot of women like the ease of it all just being built in versus the underwear where with the pads that you can put in and out. So that's another reason I launched the brief and the boxer then. So the tensile styles are definitely my best sellers.
Again, a man question because I've never worn a thong, thankfully.
Yeah.
How do you design
Yeah.
a thong? Because I've seen thongs. How do you design a thong that has a pad in it?
Yeah, it's all within like the crotch. And I will say it is like a bit wider.
Okay.
I've gotten some feedback from women too. It's great, like camel toe coverage as well.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's a little bit wider, but not so much wider that it's uncomfortable. And to be honest with you, as a woman who's worn thongs for many years now, a lot of the thongs, they're designed like so thin. I'm sorry, I'm going to call out Skims, but like I've bought in styles from them before, and it's literally like it's uncomfortable because it's not wide enough to fully cover our
Mm.
anatomy. And I've heard that from friends too. So I'm really
Well, I
proud.
don't
Like our
think Kim
thong is just it's
Kardashian
wide.
is worried about covering her anatomy.
I know. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Her underwear is definitely not. Um, but yeah, it's built into the crotch and the thong, and it works.
So, what's the
It's really good.
website?
Yeah, my website is flowergirl.co. So not .com, .co. And then same with the Instagram. It's at flowergirl.co.
And I'm going to put you on the spot, but I'm going to ask, is it possible to get a discount code for the ladies that are listening right now that might want to run over there and buy
Oh,
something?
yeah. Yeah. I can give you a discount code. I
Even like
just made one the other
10%. I got
day.
to negotiate this.
How about this? Because when you go to my website right now, if you enter your email, you get 10%. For
Okay.
your audience, I'm willing to give out this 20% code
Okay.
that I just made the other day. Do you want me to share it right now, or do you want me to give it to
Yeah.
you
We'll put it
first?
in the show notes too, but go ahead and share it.
Awesome. Yeah. So how about inflow 20? Pretty easy to remember, right?
I N flow 20, all one word.
All one word. Yes.
Great. Awesome. Yeah, we'll go ahead and share that in the show notes, but we'll also, when we share this on Instagram and we'll tag you, we'll put that in the description as well that they can get that discount with the
Sounds
inflow
good.
20. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
if there
Sounds
was
good.
one thing that you wanted to share with these ladies in closing about this product, that you think maybe need to reason through, or they're scared, or they've been on the fence, what is it you would tell them?
Yeah. Like I said earlier, just try it. Like, as a woman who feels like I'm very intuitive, and I know that women, we are the most like intuitive beings, creatures on the planet. And our society nowadays does so much to distract us from it. You know, we live in this 24-hour cycle where we're expected to show up and be the same every day. We're not. We're women. We're cyclical beings. You know, we operate our hormones on a 28-day cycle. So for me, this mission is so much deeper than just selling the product. It's really trying to get women back in tune with our bodies, and free bleeding, you know, being one of the outlets to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I would implore everyone to just try this product, stop using these toxic disposables that our society has forced us and given us to use as like Band-Aids and cover-ups and marketed to us as like hygienic and all these things. Like period underwear is just as hygienic. It's better for you, and just try it.
Two groups of women that I don't think we talked about, but I think that would benefit greatly from these as well. One being, three groups. One being a menopausal woman who starts on hormones that might have some spotting. Two would be women that have discharge, normal physiologic discharge.
Yep.
And then third might be the woman who has had some babies and she leaks a little bit of urine when she coughs or sneezes. What about that?
Yep. Thank you so much for mentioning that, because yes, postpartum was a huge angle that I was able to hit on, because I have a lot of friends who just had babies who wore the product and it changed their lives. I've had women write back even on reviews on my website, you know, that they were not able in the past to go to Pilates class because they would move around, they would leak. And this underwear, having these thongs, you know, has like changed their lives and made them feel empowered again to go about feeling normal, with the support of having that leak proof layer. And same with incontinence, for bladder leaks, for discharge, for sweat. I've gotten feedback that it's great for, you know, wearing to the gym. And then menopausal as well for spotting. Just to have this underwear has been like a game changer for women to live their lives like normal.
Well, I would encourage everybody to follow the flowergirl.co / on Instagram. Also, if you want to see the many hairstyles that Ariel has, because you have curly hair and then you have straight hair. So there's all that going on too. You change it up, you mix it up.
Sometimes it's brown.
Yeah.
I mix it up a lot. Yeah.
So let's get everybody. You've got about 1,600 followers. Let's get that up to 5,000. So let's, everybody listening to this, go follow flowergirl.co / anything in closing that you wanted to mention before we move on?
Yeah, no, I'm so honored. Thank you for sharing your space with me and bringing education to your audience and awareness. Like I said, it's surprisingly been the biggest hurdle for me. I just thought everybody would love period underwear, but having to educate women on it. And if anybody has any questions, if you send a DM, if you send an email, you're going to be talking to me. I'm happy to talk more about the product or reshare that discount code for 20% off your first order.
Inflow20. And I think part of what you just said about that, you know, you feel like it's a good idea, but what you find is that there's a lot of misunderstanding, misinformation, fear. Women have been taught from a young age that the period is bad. And so they hide it. They don't talk about it. And I think anytime you can find a platform where you can just make normal things that are normal in our society, you know, then this makes sense. And I think in the next 5 years, tampons and maxi pads and stuff like that are probably going to go away because women are becoming more educated about chemicals and things like that. You just gotta stay the course, and you got to keep plugging away.
Yeah, that's the goal. I'm here for it. And that's my hypothesis as well. And I think I'm excited to be a part of that change.
Well, thanks for coming on. Thanks for sharing all your information. Thanks especially for the code. We'll put that again in the show notes, and I'll share it on Instagram. And then I wish you the best. And I'm actually going to see if my fiance wants to get some for her daughters.
Thank you so much. It was an honor to share this space with you.
Take care. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. To catch all the latest from me, you can follow me on Instagram at Shawn Tassone MD, or on Twitter at Tassone Doc, and on Facebook at America's Holistic Gynecologist. If you're really interested in your hormones and you want to do a deep dive,
Get my book, The Hormone Balance Bible, on Amazon or other major retailers. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.